Next, I'd like to introduce a good friend in the Philippine culinary industry and the chef community as well. Someone she loves a lot as well, dearly. Chef Jordy Navarra.
I'm grateful for the opportunity to share some words today about Margarita. My condolences to Amado and the family, her friends, and everyone out there feeling this awful sense of loss for a life of someone who was larger than life. There is no one out there like her. The moment I got to know her, I wouldn't say I've met anyone else who comes close to who she is, how she is, and how she lived her life. The first time I knew of her was 20 years ago. I was a college student and Maya and I just started dating. I wasn't cooking yet and I was still figuring out what I wanted to do with my life. We were walking around Alabang Town Center. There was a big billboard of her, animated and expressive, as we all know how she was. And Maya told me, "That's my idol, Margarita Forrest." She explained to me who she was. And went on to say, "Why don't we eat a chibo?" From then on, chibo became a treat whenever we had the chance or the budget for it. She still orders the same thing today, spinachi, iced tea, and a penne al telefono. See, I had the opportunity to get to know Margarita in stages that represent my journey in my life today. My chibo experience became a base for what a good meal was, and my first insight into who she was and who she would later become for me. Fast forward 5 years into the moment I first met her. I was a line cook at Bo Innovation in Hong Kong, and I was in Manila for a short trip. It was at my Ate Megan's wedding, and Margarita had done the floral arrangements. She was there, as we all know, she always made a point to go to every event she can and whenever she felt she was needed. She found out I was a cook who was working in Hong Kong, and they called me over because she wanted to meet me. She introduced herself, and as nervous as I was meeting her, she gave me the warmest hug and told me to keep doing what I was doing. She looked me up on Facebook and added me as a friend, and right away, I remember thinking to myself, wow, I made it na kasi Margarita Forrest added me as a friend on Facebook. And it was surreal then because I was the one accepting the friend request from someone like her. That was the first time I felt her grace and warmth. Even then, as a random cook she just met, she made me feel welcome in a community that I didn't realize existed. At that stage in my life, it was all about learning how to cook and ingredients and techniques, and my encounter with her was the first memory in my food bank that wasn't about food. It was about how she made me feel as a random cook she met. Hospitality is all about how you make people feel, and she was the best at it. I still remember how she made me feel that day, and I take that as a base for some of the work we do today. I didn't assume I would get to meet her again, but my next encounter with her was a surprise. I remember then finding out that the French Laundry, this temple of fine dining, used Philippine salt in their tasting menu. And I was desperate to try and use it. This was the beginning of my obsession for Philippine ingredients. And luckily, I tracked down the actual supplier in the US, Lenny DiCarlo of X Road Sea Salt. When I contacted her, I couldn't believe my luck when I found out she was in Manila the same time I would take my short trips from Hong Kong. We agreed on a time and place to meet. She told me to meet her in Greenbelt, and when I got there, we met at Luso, and by chance, guess who she was with? Of course, she was there with Margarita. Immediately, Margarita greeted me and said, "I had a feeling it was you," and gave me a hug. She offered me a drink and some food, and when I told her I had to go, she told me to wait because she had a gift for me. Secretly, she gave me a bag of Philippine salt that Lenny wasn't selling, and told me to try that too. It was crazy for me at that time because then she barely knew me and I couldn't believe she took the time out to prepare a gift for me when she found out I was interested in salt. She was all about the culture and connecting, and she took responsibility in developing it seriously. In my mind, I was a nobody, but to her, I was somebody. I was a young cook with a passion, and she was Chef Margarita, who I later learned the more I got to know her, had a passion for what hospitality is and set an example for me as to how to treat everyone who shared this passion with her. As time went on and we opened TOYO, we grew closer and closer. By then, I was busy in the day-to-day grind of running a restaurant, but occasionally she would drop by to say hello and to support. I was also fortunate to have set up TOYO in Caravan Plaza right next to her at Whitespace, which meant she would randomly drop by at TOYO. Or if not her, it would be her tabana talka, or whatever product she wanted us to try whenever she thought about us. She was great at making you feel that she was thinking about you. When we had the chance to travel for events, cook overseas, or deliver a presentation, she also had the knack for suddenly showing up, and her presence, or even the chance of her presence, would now be a sense of comfort for me. I think to myself, if no one listens or likes it, she'll be there to clap and cheer. The same way she always has, even when I didn't know her, like I know her today. I've had the pleasure of cooking with her, hosting her for events, eating at her restaurants, attending and participating in her market tours, listening to her talks, and her legacy will live on in the industry that she believed in and gave everything to. Whenever we have a guest chef, she was always part of the stops we had to make to introduce them to Filipino hospitality because she was the embodiment, the icon of hospitality for Filipinos. She lived and breathed it, and whenever I think about Filipino hospitality, I will forever see her face and hear her voice. Everyone who knew her in our industry can't deny the space she occupies amongst the greatest to have done it. I remember a conversation we had last year when she told me she was excited but nervous for her signature restaurant, Margarita. I told her, back when everyone wasn't as used to tasting menus or plated dishes as they are today, you actually made it happen and set it up through catering and menus designed for them on their weddings and special occasions. Back when chefs weren't seen as personalities or creatives, she was there designing the experience and bringing it to you in your setting. The handwritten notes, the arrangements, the mood, and the food. Her personality lives on through her work, which inspired us and brought us to the industry we have today. Before the idea of Michelin-starred restaurants in Manila, the hottest table in town was even harder to book. It was at an event created by Margarita for us. Through the years, she became more than Chef Margarita to me. She became my friend and my mother in the industry. Thank you, Amado, for sharing her with all of us. She took care of all of us in the industry, pati na rin all the cats in our restaurants. I'm so happy she's seen you make your dreams a reality, to see her legacy live on through you. I'm here for you the way she was there for me. And we'll keep her memory alive every day through the culture of Filipino hospitality that she dedicated her life to. Maya and I will forever be grateful to her. All of us at TOYO will forever be grateful to her. Her legacy will live on with every plate and every dish served through all of us. Her presence will be felt with the body of work she left and through the people inspired by her and her work. Chef Margarita will live on, but I will miss my friend, your gaff, your Tita March. I'll miss you, Margarita. Thank you so much for everything, and thank you for letting me be a part of your life.